I'm Ronaldo Mouchawar. I'm passionate about change and technology. I'm happy to be on the Voices of the Future.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is an absolute honor and privilege to be with a dear friend, but somebody I've admired for over 20 years. We've had a lot of questions and discussions in the early days of Ronaldo, and we've seen his meteoric rise through the ranks. But at the end of the day, I see Ronaldo as a friend. I see him as a mentor for young people. I see him as an energy that is out there. To be able to drive us. Now, business and stuff like that happens, but he is a true leader. And today we're going to talk to him about leadership, about how to change the world, and about his role in that future. Ronaldo, it's really it's wonderful to connect again, and wonderful to have that. And a project like Voices of the Future you are a voice that really helps to amplify the beautiful messages that are out there, and I'll share some of them with you. But let's talk about little Ronnie in the good old days. What was that engine that got you charged? What is the moment of inspiration that you can think of? Your parents, your family, or whatever?
I mean, I come from Syria. We lived in Aleppo. My dad was in merchants and trade, and he was actually in agriculture. He felt figuring a way to irrigate the region in an area where water is scarcity was like a mission for him. And obviously, he merged that with his passion for trade and business, and somehow that's the family business we're in. Aleppo is known to be a merchant-based city where there are a lot of entrepreneurs, and we're known for even our souks. But I really loved technology early on. I remember taking my first computer programming classes. All the class had to share one small Commodore and type on the keyboard and figure out how to even type. And I took that to, as a passion, and went to the US, studied computer engineering, and very quickly you realize how impactful technology is, but not only on the developed market where they're already established. It can be even more impactful in our region where we're far behind, and tools like technology, mobile phones, smartphones can really change the outlook of the communities we lived in. And throughout the journey, I met Samih and Hussam, who were working on Arabic on the internet and the Maktoub story. And it was very quickly you realize how empowering for our region, our youth, technology is, how the ability to communicate, self-expression, things the internet really brought to our generation of communities and people. And I fell in love with it. Like, it was very clear, like, this is what I want to do. I want to spread the internet around, make it useful for communication. That was phase one with Maktoub, make people communicate even in our own language or any language. And then very quickly how to progress from that into how we can use it to improve our lives. And really e-commerce, while it's the trade-off is shopping between a buyer and a seller, or a business and a consumer, it impacts really a huge the environment that we're in, the communities we're in, for the people who are working for us, for the entrepreneurs who are using our platform, for the customer who is now empowered to have choice across, for the smaller merchant who could never reach customers that are further away. We always said, someone in Jeddah wants to buy something from Cairo, someone in Cairo wants to buy something from Damascus. Dubai is a trading hub. Everyone wants to come and buy things in Dubai. So how do we connect the Arab world using technology? And that's kind of how Souq came, as somehow a merger between what I went through in Syria and how we thought of commerce and entrepreneurship, technology, and then what we really need in our region.
I distinctly remember that time, and Fadi and Sami, and I remember talking to them at that time. And it was an epiphany. It was a change in the world, with Yahoo coming and doing it for the very first time. But I also remember a private conversation with you, which you may not remember, so I will surprise you. I remember when we were discussing all of this thing going, and I said, so how did they miss Souq? And you said, oh, well, they missed the big point that we were a little gem on the side, and then they missed it. And then you took that little gem and then you grew it.
I mean, we were happy when the Yahoo and Maktoub deal came that Souq wasn't included.
Exactly.
We had few offers that Souq was included, and we all felt it was the infancy. I mean, we had just launched. We were trying to figure out what business model works. The region lacked many tools on payment, logistic, things were not clear. So for someone coming from abroad at that stage, for them it felt too early and too ambiguous.
Yes.
But for us, we know our region. So the empowerment of our people was very clear. We've seen it in Maktub, how the internet changed, even how reporters reported stories across the world in Arabic, how parents talk to each other. And then when we're here closer and we see the dynamics in our region, we were happy. And to the founding team, I mean, at that time, it was easy. Like, hey, we had an exit to Yahoo. Let's stop, do something else. But everyone was committed to continue on the journey. And the focus post that with Samih, Hussam, be it Jabbar, Souq, Kashu, it was all around how can e-commerce be developed in the region, how it can empower people, how it changes the outlook of the people in the region. And that's the mission we took on.
Brilliant. And it's been an inspirational story, and you've led that inspiration. So congratulations on that. Fast forward to the acquisition. What were the kind of emotions that you went through with your team at that point in time? Now, most companies that are growing like that look for exits and look for money and so on. But you're purpose-driven. Money is an outcome, and it's fine. But fundamentally, you're purpose-driven. You are also... I've seen you in the early days of how you inspire people and bring them along, and your old warehouses and in the Souq days.
Should visit the new ones now.
Okay, I haven't seen that. I remember the old one. Everything was all upside down everywhere. So what I'd like to understand is, what was your emotional thing? Because a lot of young people who are opening companies, anybody who talks to me about exit, I start feeling like, ouch, are they really the people I want to back?
I mean, it was at the right time, I think, for both. We believed still we were mission half done. We talked about connecting Jeddah with Cairo, with Dubai, but we haven't been able to do all that. I mean, the region is complex, it's many countries, and we want to bring them all together. So while we had built Souq, and it was a known brand that customers loved and used and empowered a lot of our merchants to use it, we still felt it was mission half done. We still felt like e-commerce was starting. And I think the first emotion was, wow, this is going to happen. It was a proud moment for the team. For everyone who worked here in the region, a company like Amazon coming to the region, acquiring a company that does similar things. Usually Amazon acquires things that enable it to grow, tools, technology, new ideas that are coming, and it kind of complements the core mothership of what we're trying to be it on the cloud side or on the store side, which is the e-commerce side. Here it was like we're in a similar business model, and we have someone who's recognizing that, we worked on a lot of things that help the customer have a good journey. All the infrastructure, be it logistic, delivery, payment, all the things are needed. And when Amazon came in, I felt like, okay, this is a moment where really e-commerce will change in the region. Till then, there was a lot of skepticism about how big it will get. We knew that it'll get big. We knew it's an empowering tool. It'll connect everyone in the region. But it was not easy to get everyone to understand. That said, so if you wanted a logistic company to invest in its infrastructure, they wouldn't go build 2x their infrastructure for a year, thinking that you will actually double in a year or two. So it was hard to get everyone onto the same page. When Amazon came in, it was clear like, hey, the tip of the iceberg. E-commerce is going to really grow fast in the region. Customers will adopt it. And we will gain the global expertise and marry it with what we thought locally we've done on the ground that really helped. And e-commerce is a bit different, that it's not all virtual. It doesn't all sit on the cloud. You do have an on-ground component, be it the payment, the logistic, the warehouses, the sellers, the products. They have to physically move around the region and get delivered fast to customers. And that's why I thought it was a proud moment. B, it was like, hey, we can be more. And looking back today, the impact of Amazon and others in the region today in the space has really changed the life of thousands of people.
Indeed it has. And in the process, you became a rock star. We have Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid shaking your hands.
To be here.
and everybody else. So
I mean, you see how fast Dubai in the region, even now we see it in Saudi, is changing, and how fast we need to keep up only. It's amazing to be at this time in this country, in this journey.
Let's talk about things that really individually impact people, and that's leadership, culture, shift, because you were an inspirational leader within Souq, and you grew that, and that was a different Ronnie there, and suddenly you have Big Brother there. Did Ronnie get stifled, or did you get more wings?
I mean, I feel, obviously, as you go from a startup or a company that you founded and you build into something bigger and a global company that's multinational, that's really leader and obsessed about its customer all over the world, there's a learning.
Yes.
So I felt like the first year or two for me was like, okay, I'm here because I'm learning a lot.
Right.
And then you see starting to work with people who really are really smart, really amazing, enjoyable to work with.
Yeah.
And that also gives you another drive. And then we see what the combination of what you've learned globally, locally, the type of team that now you are surrounded with, the impact we're able to do in the region, be it in Egypt, be it in Riyadh, be it in Jordan, here in the UAE, it gives you a lot more fulfillment. So I think Amazon allowed us to stay like a day one mindset. You know, you're still a region. You need to run it as an enterprise that's more like a startup, but obviously at scale. The beauty of learning how to operate things at scale is something that I cherish, that I've learned across the last 4 or 5 years at Amazon, and has given me, even when I now mentor startups and the way we talk to them, even I have met people that I've, like I maybe haven't met in the last 2-3 years, and we start a conversation about hiring, about their teams, how to look at their business, and they suddenly pause and say, you know, something about you is not the same. And I think that's the what you get from Amazon. But you still need to be, you know, passionate about the region, continue to fight for our region, the people who live here, their voice, the opportunities we create for them. And for that, when we see the impact now in terms of the companies around us, the companies are using Amazon, the services that Amazon is using, you see the impact in the region.
So what is that inner fire? You made more money than God. You impacted so many people already. You're already a rock star. What gets you up in the morning? What?
I think impact. I mean, you always the impact on others. For me, I'm very happy with the journey, you know, from where I come from, my family, everything. I mean, now you look at where we are, it's amazing. But then you start seeing the people who work for us, their families, how they're growing. You go visit an office in Amman, you go to a delivery station, and you see the people working there and what they're thinking and how they're solving problems. And that is the beauty of it. It's all around people and creating to grow this mission that in the region we can have high caliber tech people developing world-class solution. Not only we develop for the region, we develop for many projects that are Amazon first across the world. And that combination of innovation, using technology, but ultimately the impact on our region and community is what drives us.
I'll ask you two divergent questions. One of them is around failure, and the other one is around how much is too much. And I think those are things that we are seeing in the world a lot today. I have failed many times in my life. I dare say you have some interesting bumps on the road also. We all have. Many.
People don't recognize how many you need to have to actually get to where you are.
Absolutely. And one of the stories I use on Amazon is that in the early days, the culture of experimentation and failure. And I talk about the 5 F's of failure. Fail fast, frequently, fail frugally, failure is not fatal, and fail and move forward. And failure is a good F word. So this is what I say.
And this is a lot of it in our readers.
So how do you do that? Because we don't have failure in this region. We don't...
I mean, failure in the beginning, I think, was not acceptable. I think we've come a long way where now I see, through the exit that have happened, the investment in technology, at least in the space that we're in, I think it is a lot more acceptable that today you have a startup, that you leave a government job or a bank job that feels very, very secure and very steady into something a bit more adventurous. And I think the support that we're getting from the VCs, from the families around, I think the concept is now more acceptable because there have been some success stories that people say, you know, I want to be like Ronnie. Someone from Aleppo comes to me and say, you know what, I follow you. I see what you're doing. I want to do the same. I have this idea. I'm trying to raise capital. Help me. This, I think 10, 15 years ago was like, either you have a family business, you're in it, or you go work on with a big bank or a multinational, and that's the career you take. This has changed a lot. And I think we and all of us should cherish that people fail, experiment, because there is no innovation without experimentation. And when the experimentation comes, that an experiment has two outcomes, and most likely sometimes it's not what you think it is, and you learn from it, and you have to iterate. Even when we converted Souq to Amazon, the early days of that even migration was not smooth sailing. Many of the data, the customers, things that we wanted to do were not there. We had done them in Souq, so we had to learn and very quickly innovate. And this day one culture, focus on the customer, know exactly where you're getting to, think a bit long term, but quickly innovate. And if it doesn't work, you move on. I mean, it's okay not to have everything work the way. And no company can experiment at a fast pace and expect every outcome of that experiment to be. It's just not possible. If you do that, then you stagnate.
You're stagnating, or you're just not testing the boundaries. We're not the outliers. And you're
once
not
you
pushing
lose in the space we're in, once you lose the ability and the mindset that you want to innovate, you're already day two.
Two final big questions. One will be on leadership, but the first is on humanity. The more technological we become, and the company you're leading is a supremely extreme technology kind of company. So the more technological the world becomes, my belief is, because everything will be 1,000,000 times faster and 10 million times cheaper. But anything and everything, love, harmony, compassion, heart, soul, spirit, imagination, creativity, common sense, judgment, trust, all of these things are 1,000,000 times more valuable. How do you value that? Yes, you've got the efficiency, you've got the amazing stuff. Look, what is there? How do you do that?
At the end, we all interact with each other. For me, trust is a leadership principle that I value and I live by, and I think it's a great connector between people because it allows you to open up. Look, in our part of the world, I feel we still have a long way to go. If you look at our education, payment, finance, medical space, even e-commerce, trade. I mean, technology is going to be a big enabler for the Middle East, for Africa. The adoption rates are so low today that I think it really will change the way we have. And the next 100, 150 years, it's all about getting these areas improve. We need better schools. We need better healthcare. Those are known. We need technology to get there. We can't do it linearly. We won't just have enough resources.
100%. I mean, technology is an enabler, but what I think is we do not spend sufficient time on the humanity piece.
So I think this is for you personally. Like and my team knows it. I love to work with the people that I work with. I love to meet people, build those connections. There's a way to lead. Not all of it is science. Not all of it is looking at Excel charts and performance and plans. A lot of it is like, how do we develop the people around us? What are their areas? How do you extract more out of them? But I feel I like to build. With my team, trust is a big enabler. Once you establish trust within your team and the people you work with, the dialogue of how you develop whatever you're doing becomes a lot easier because the intent is always there. Everyone always has good intention. Everyone always wants to do good. But you need to bring that bond together. And for me, leadership, lead by example. Perseverance, no matter what time you're in, today, the future, because you always have challenges. We talked about experimentation. So the idea that you walk out of a failure with a plus versus a minus is a lot of perseverance. And then just build the dynamics and trust with the people, with the community, with the people you want to work with. Even our customers, we need to own their trust. We're not entitled for them to shop. So think of them, how they trust you. Our sellers, why would they come to us? So it's an ecosystem. If you take a trust as a pinnacle word, by the way, if you go to Wikipedia and say what trust means, it's about being reliable, honest, available. All 100%. These things are you can apply in everything you do.
My first slide on all my international presentations is about trust and truth and ethics, and I'm actually an advanced speaker on trust. So we
used to, before we run a big event, like if trust is a component, I used to literally put up the Wikipedia definition of trust, making sure even for our delivery associate, our customers need to trust us. We need to be reliable. We need to be honest with them. Why did delivery happen? Why it didn't happen? Our prices on the website, our availability, the service cannot go down. Our teams, our availability to each other. So, I mean, that component, I think, is extendable and works well to connect people.
Before I ask my final question, we're wonderfully blessed here to be with Ronnie talking about Voices of the Future. And the whole essence of this entire book will be 100 voices. And the idea is from different technologies and different disciplines, and we're all coming together and converging. Then we are cooking the pot, and all of these wonderful things are happening. And then comes the divergence, all of the new things, all of the new, the way forward. let me put you into a time machine, and we'll go together in the time machine. We are similar ages and similar backgrounds, and we arrive on your 100th birthday.
Yeah.
So we're celebrating your 100th birthday today. What are we celebrating, Ronnie? What are we doing? Who's around us? What are you feeling?
It's a tough question. I mean, I can't predict the future. I don't know if we'll live 100 years. The way I live, I don't think I will get there. But leaving that aside,
but easily.
I am a very quick believer that you need to really seize your day to day. I've seen so much around us in the region that almost thinking too far ahead about yourself, it feels a bit unaccustomed to how I
Fair
feel.
enough.
For me, it's like what's happening in our region today. How do we change today? Because why not? You know, that's the first question. So with that, I still believe looking back is like, did we make an impact in the region? What were things that kids of people who I somehow encountered have happened to them? I talk about, you know, when we hired our first team in Jordan, we had 4 people who kind of came from a refugee background. You know, they had immigrated to Jordan through conflicts around. And now you see them, you know, they're graduating, their kids are in college, they're working on machine learning, their communities are different. And I think that's what what I would like to take is like, did we create an impact? Did we leave the region better with us being in it, coming back to it? Because I was in the US for a long time. And that's what, you know, time will tell if that happens. And if it is, then I think we'll be happy. And then are you around people that you love and you want to spend your time with? And hopefully that happens as well. Those are the 2 things that I would look back for.
Inshallah.
Impact and love.
Impact and love. I think, you know, it's funny, all the people I talk to, not one of them has mentioned money. And I'm so happy because all our life they're pushing money and growth and power and this and influence. Not one of them has said, oh, I wish I am the ruler of the world or anything like that. Because, you know, people there is ego and greed and everything out there.
I had no idea where Souq would take us, what kind of financial impact. In the beginning, you have to, like, even this, I tell to many entrepreneurs, like, if you want to go on this journey of being an entrepreneur and change things, it's a lonely journey and you probably initially feel like, it's not worth the time and the effort because it's hard.
I'm there. I'm very lonely, and it becomes extremely hard. Absolutely, and I admire people like you do that. There are 3 scientists and doctors here who talk about longevity, where aging will be considered a disease very soon, and your kids and grandkids and say, "Baba, you didn't take the medicine. Why are you looking older? Why you should be like this?" So, and then one of the books that Jose Cordero wrote is The Death of Death. So there's a lot of things happening where the demographics of the world is changing, which will change your business and the way you approach business and so on. A final question on leadership, love, impact, humanity is, if you were to put a little message in the bottle today for what you know today and throw it in the sea here, what will that message say to your people, to all of us?
I mean, I think for me it would be lead with compassion. And you can never replace perseverance. Even if you're the smartest person in the world, you have to have that trait and you have to have that within your DNA and the people around you. But I think you do need to lead with compassion. As you're building what you're building, you need to sometimes put yourself in the shoes of the other person you're working with, or else the world will get even lonelier.
Yeah. And you're happy? You are optimistic when you talk to your kids, your grandkids?
I'm optimistic. I see, for the
there's a lot of stuff going on right now.
There's a lot that they are dealing with that we didn't have to deal with, to be fair. We were a lot more, I think, in my generation. Obviously, my parents thought we were crazy as well. So I don't want to, this generation change is happening. But I do feel the world is a lot more complex. Your ingress points are many. You're kind of walking with a drone or an Android, something smart with you. So the world is more complex to manipulate, and the skills required, obviously, every one of us have to continuously, the pace of change, as you highlighted, is fast. So, but I think people just need to come back to basic compassion, trust, love, accepting failures, driving perseverance. Those I don't think will change much.
Yes, those are our human values, and that is how we will shape the world. I just hope, pray to wonderful people like you, and to say you have the ability to bring about change because you're already at that stage. You have the power in your hands through the power of technology and capacity. And we look up to people like you to give us that that engine, that spark, that catalyst to make that impact. Ronnie,
Thank you.
thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
I can spend a long time, but I know we're challenged for time. But I'm grateful that you gave us this time and shared your story.
Good luck with the voices of the future.